We have a lot more information about the fatal car crash involving Bachelor Chris Soules, and the information is both good and bad for him, I have to say. We're going to start with the 911 calls. It is very interesting. You know the story. We broke this on the website that Soules has been charged with the crime of leaving the scene of an accident that involved a
fatality.
death. And initially, we thought he hit this tractor that went into the ditch. The guy was thrown out of the tractor.
The farmer who was driving the tractor.
And died. And so we thought he just booked it out of there as soon as he hit the vehicle. That is not the case. And as a matter of fact, we are going to listen to this 911 call. This is Chris himself making the call.
Not just there making the call and being there for several minutes, but actively aiding in the medical treatment of the victim.
Now, this part will help him, and we're going to get to the part that's going to hurt, but here's the 911 call.
Is anybody injured?
Yes. I rear-ended a guy on a tractor.
What's your name?
My name's Chris Soules.
Is he breathing, Chris?
I can't tell. It doesn't appear to be. There's blood.
What's coming out of his mouth, Chris?
Yes. I feel like I feel a pulse. Yeah, he's got a pulse.
He does have a pulse?
You guys are on your way?
Okay, Chris, yeah, I'm going to stay on the line with you. We have law enforcement, medical, en route to you. I want to know if those vehicles that are up on the road have their flashers on.
Can I call you back really quick?
Yeah, you can call me back.
Thank you.
Well,
Really weird that she allowed him to get off the phone, but
yeah,
we know what happened after that.
What I thought was really interesting about this, you guys, is, you know, we had reported that there was open containers that were found in his vehicle, and there's been a lot of speculation that he was drunk at the time that the accident happened. But in this clip, I felt like he was very coherent, didn't come off drunk, at least to me. And also he was, like you said, Charles, very active in helping to make sure that the victim was okay. He was there checking his pulse.
And that's true. However,
yeah, we need to go further into this. You know, look, there was talk. Charlie's right. Talk about, you know, was he drinking? And they did find not
because
open
of the beer
containers.
cans.
They found containers. We don't know if they were open or not, but they found containers in his vehicle. So the question, was he drunk? The reason this is important is because if he was, that would probably set up a vehicular manslaughter case where the stakes are way higher. Now, he left the scene of the accident after talking to 911. That is why he is being prosecuted. So here's what we now know that I think creates a problem for him. He went home, and they immediately knew it was Chris who left the scene and Chris who caused the accident. And the cops immediately went to his home and said, "We need to talk to you." But he would not come out of the house. He refused to come out of the house. And as a result of that,
they had to get a search warrant.
They had to get a search warrant, which took a couple of hours to get. And they finally got him out of the house after getting the search warrant, where they had the lawful authority to do so. But the problem with that is, and they did they took him to the hospital, then arrested him. But even though they did a blood alcohol test at the hospital,
that is now what, at least 3-4 hours at least?
It's meaningless because it's meaningless because even if he said, yeah, you know, even if he had a .20, he would say, I drank when I got home because I was very upset. So it's a completely unreliable thing. So they're not going to charge him with that. But it doesn't look good that he fled the scene and refused to come out of the house.
And Harvey, another thing that may help him out too is we called around to neighbors. I mean, it's a very small community, and spoke with one who said her husband had allegedly used the tractor that was involved in this accident. And she said it wasn't safe because there weren't lights on the back of the tractor. So that's another issue. If it was dusk and Chris was having a hard time seeing, this thing didn't have any sort of brake lights or hazard lights or anything, he could argue that as well.
Yeah, and that will, look, when you prosecute somebody for vehicular manslaughter, you have to show gross negligence, not just that you were negligent, it has to be extreme. And given that this was twilight, given that it was 15 minutes before getting dark, if there were not lights on this trailer, and there do not appear to be, then it's hard to say that that's gross negligence.
Doesn't seem like gross negligence, combined with the fact that he stayed, not only did he stay, aid the victim, but he identified himself and told the 911 operator exactly what happened. I mean, of course the police knew where to go. He said it on when he called in. He said, "I'm Chris Soules."
Right.
And like you said, it's a small community.
Well,
Once you say your name,
but I will
they
say
know.
He never said he was the one who caused the accident.
He did. Yes, he said I ran into the back of. He described the whole thing. He said I ran into the back of the tractor.
No, he does later on. When he first called, he said there was an accident. Then later on, before he identifies himself, he said that he hit it.
Okay, I got you.
So it was all laid out there. So
I think the alcohol would be the turning point, but they're never going to be able to prove that, even though they took blood from him. They're never going to be able to prove that if it was the case. And as a result of that, you know, I will say lawyers sometimes, I'm not saying a lawyer told him to do it, but I have heard lawyers telling somebody, if you left the scene, make yourself scarce for a little while. And they do that. And then it's really hard for anybody to make a case like that. It's going to take a month probably before all of this information gets processed and goes to the prosecutor. But they could end up charging him with a felony, which is leaving the scene. And that carries a maximum of 5 years.
Hi, it's Bianca from Reno. As a fan of The Bachelor, he was one of my very first favorite bachelors. And so the fact that he couldn't even stay after he called 911, he just left the scene rather than like staying for the guy to like make sure like he was going to be okay is super disappointing. I don't think it matters that if they had like if the open containers of beer or anything, but the fact that like he couldn't stay like is just so disappointing to me.
It's really tragic too. Make sure to subscribe to TMZ Live to keep up to date on the latest entertainment news.
And if you want to keep watching, click on one of these videos right now.